Hi, I'm Melanie from Parenting High Schoolers, and I am here today to talk about holidays with your teens. So, holidays with your teens can be so much fun, but it can also be super stressful. I mean, the holidays just themselves can be stressful because we want everything to be perfect and we're trying to do all the things. So, as you enter this holiday season, with your teens, it's a really good idea to set some expectations to get your kids and you on the same page, or at least meeting in the middle. So, one of the things that we have found works really well, like when our son or sons would come home for college, we would ask them ahead of time, okay, so when are you going to be here? How long are you going to stay? Um, And even though we knew what their breaks were, like a couple of times our oldest son went home with somebody first and then came home. So that might be a something that you weren't expecting and you need to plan for. Um, Another thing is to ask them what are your plans when you are home? Are you going to get together with friends? And if so, what are the dates, and can you go ahead and set them so that as we're making plans to do the things with us, we already know what everybody's expectations are, and that goes a long way towards your kids wanting to be with you. Because if you get upset in the moment, like, "Oh, what, you didn't tell me you were going out," then that's frustrating for them. Obviously things do come up, but as long as you have let them know, like, okay, so Friday night we are going to do whatever, we're going to go bowling, or we're going to have that be a family movie night, then they already know, so they can make their plans accordingly. So it's needs to be sort of an open book between you and your teens and young adults. Put things on a big calendar so everybody can see, and if changes need to be made in the moment, that's okay, and it needs to be okay. You need to let your kids know that you're so happy that they're there and that you want to make it as pleasant as possible for everybody, but you also want their cooperation as far as when they're going to go do things to let you know. It's just adult common courtesy. I think that's something that our kids struggle with, like, well, I've been doing my own thing for all this time and now I'm having to tell you. Well, yes, but we're not asking you to be home by a certain time. We're just wanting to know where, just what your plans are. Period. So, some ideas for what you can do over the holidays, which for me is my favorite part, sort of the anticipation. Um, Ask your kids what are their favorite things about the holidays that they want to be sure that you do. Do you always traditionally have a night where you bake cookies, or do you always have a night where you traditionally pop popcorn and that you have a favorite holiday movie? Those are things that they remember as kids, and you want to be sure that you are doing those activities that they love. Ask them if there's anything that you have done in the past that they don't really care about, because why waste your time doing things that they could care less about? Obviously, if it's something that's important to you, let them know and let them know why, and they will probably be more than willing to meet you in the middle, or just say, okay, mom. Some things that you could do: go on a lights tour, fix hot chocolate for everybody, and have snacks in the car. And we have done that since the kids were so little, and they still love to do it because they joke around and, make fun of us because, well, me mostly, because it's something I love to do. It doesn't take that long, hour, maybe hour and a half, and then that might be a night that they go out, because our idea of going out and their idea of going out is completely different. So by the time we get home, they're ready to go out. I'm probably ready to go to bed. So there are those kinds of nights where you can kind of do a little bit of both. Be sure you're taking pictures, and be sure you are in some of the pictures. Um, that's something I find after the holidays, that I don't take as many now that the kids are older. And a lot of times I'll realize later I wasn't even in a picture. So be sure that you are including yourself and that you are thinking about, oh, this would be a great moment. And they'll roll their eyes and say, no way, but you know what? Make them do it. So interview an older adult. Have them, there's so many things that you can download, great interview questions for grandma and grandpa, or, you know, an uncle or someone that they have always found interesting. And, you know, our days are limited with all of this going on. I think it has shown us so much that life is just precious. And so find out the history of people that are important in their lives, and let them, let your teen or young adult find someone that they care about, that they are willing to spend time with and get to know a little bit better. So you really want to let your kids know that you want to be the place. Well, you don't even have to let them know. Let them feel like where they are at home is where you want them to be. So one of the things, for instance, that you need to agree ahead of time, have a discussion about how long they're going to sleep in the morning. So some mornings it may not matter. I know that was a thing that used to bother me a lot. It was like, you're not going to sleep all day. Well, you know what? They've had a stressful semester probably at school, whether they were online learning or not. And so there's some things that we as parents need to kind of let go of. And sleeping in needs to be one of them. If you need them to be up for a certain activity or whatever, let them know ahead of time. But otherwise, let them have that. Because at school, they may have had an early class, and even if they didn't, it's a way we can show them love that is not, it's not that big of a deal. Have sleepovers. Have them have their cousins over. Tell them they can have friends over. Find out what they want, you know, to have for meals, snacks. You probably know a lot of their favorites, but maybe there's one that they never told you they just loved whenever you made it. So ask them before they come home, or if they're home with you, just say, hey, is there anything you want to be sure we eat over the holidays that I might not be aware of? That's kind of a fun thing to have around as well. Hygge. What is that? That's that word, Hygge. I always thought it was Hygge, but it's Hygge, and it is creating the sense of comfort, togetherness, warmth. That's my goal as a mom, to create that sense in my home so that my kids are happy to be here, that even though I know they want to go do other things with other people, that when they're here, they're happy, they want to be here. There's, you know, if there are things that need to be discussed, for instance, maybe they've been spending too much money, or you just know that maybe they've been partying too hard. There are times and places for those kinds of conversations while they're home, but be sure that don't ruin that time together. Maybe in the back of your mind, plan that for closer to when they go back to school, and bring it up at a time that is neutral. Maybe go to lunch and just say, hey, there's a couple things that I was wanting to talk to you about before you go back to school, and bring it up in a non-threatening and again, neutral tone of voice. Don't be mad. And maybe make some plans together, make some goals. Like, I think this has been happening too much, or whatever the situation is. You want them to know that you're aware of it, but that what can you do to help? Preserve the Hygge, preserve those times of togetherness. And as you have conversations with your teens over the break, make sure that you're going to have to let some things slide, because if you want them to come home and enjoy that time together, then the time for those deeper, heavier kinds of conversations, unless they bring it up, needs to be towards the end of the break. And at that time, be willing to listen more than you talk. So just a little conversation tip. So expectations, set them early, find out what theirs are, adjust yours. Don't do anything that they don't care about. Like, for instance, I used to make so many kinds of cookies at Christmas. Now I ask everybody what their top 2 or 3 are, and that's all I do. It's still a ton, but that's something I love to do. I love to bake. We all love to eat them. So rather than doing everything, I just adjust down to what is the bare minimum. And some of them, the kids like to make with me. That's another thing. Ask them what they want to do when they're home, who they want to do it with. Have a calendar. Just adjust your expectations and don't forget to take pictures. Don't forget to find out what it is that they want to do when they are home with you. And I hope you enjoy your holiday with your kids. So give me a thumbs up, and I hope that you subscribe to my channel and have a great Christmas.